So to create a secure folder in OS X, you're going to want to launch Disk Utility. That's in the Utilities folder inside the Applications folder. There it is right there. And what Disk Utility is going to do is, you see across the top row of buttons here, we can say we want to create a new empty disk image. So we click that. It asks us where we want to store that image file, and we'll just leave it on the desktop for now. We'll call it secure image file, and give a name to the disk. So this will be the name of the disk when it's actually mounted as a virtual disk drive on your desktop, and call it the same, secure disk image. The size of the drive that we want to create, let's just create a standard DVD sized drive. The format, leave it as regular macOS if you want. You can create an MS-DOS FAT32 type as well if you wanted to mount the image inside of a virtual machine running Windows. And this is the important part, encryption. Okay, you want to choose the tightest encryption that is currently offered, which is AES. The partition, just have it as a hard drive, I would say. And you want it to be a sparse disk image. What that means is that the file is only going to be as big as the data inside of it, but you won't be able to fill it up any more than the total size chosen in this first step here. So click Create. And then Disk Utility goes ahead and creates a new disk image file on your desktop. And then eventually you're presented with this screen here. Now, one of the things that I would like to be able to change about the way this particular process works here is that I would like to generate a passphrase from a memorable phrase that is also random. But unfortunately the clipboard doesn't work in this particular application, so it's not possible to open something like 1Password, for example, and generate a truly random passphrase. You've got to basically write your passphrase in this setting here. So you want to make it something that you can remember, which is kind of, it sort of defeats the object of using an encrypted folder, because if it's a phrase that you can remember, then it's a phrase that you can force open with like a dictionary hack. But for the purposes of completing this short tutorial, and in the absence of any better information on how we might get around this, I'm just going to create a basic password. And then you need to retype that password. And you see, even the indicator of how strong that password is down here, even by macOS own standards, that isn't a particularly strong password because it's a rememberable pattern. So, and plus the other, I think, weak side in terms of security which is offered here is that by default the remember password in keychain option is turned on, and you really want to turn that off, because your keychain could be hacked if you're not the only person who has access to your machine. So anyway, we'll go ahead and say OK to that, and Disk Utility creates a sparse image file. And now that that's done, we can close Disk Utility, and you see that on the desktop it's mounted this new 4.7 gigabyte image, which you can drag and drop into to your heart's content, and it'll only ever take as much data as a standard DVD, so 4.7 gig. So let's unmount that image and show you what happens when you just double click the file. Here it's going to ask us for the passphrase that we created earlier on, and it mounts the image on the desktop again. So that's how to create a secure folder in macOS X.